What's going on, YouTube? I hope you guys are still enjoying your Saturday. I wanted to come on here real quick and talk about this situation that's going down with Martin Lawrence and Chris Williams. So guys, Chris Williams is the brother of Vanessa Williams, and back in the day he was featured on the Martin Lawrence show. Now, all of a sudden, about 30 years later, he wanted to come out and talk about a bad experience that he had while filming the Martin Lawrence show. And so a lot of people are questioning, like, oh, why are you coming out with this now? Why didn't you say anything about it earlier? But I guess the man wanted to come forth and speak his truth about his bad experience on the Martin Lawrence show. So Martin Lawrence did what he had to do, you know, back in the days to entertain the viewers, right? He did a very great job. The show was phenomenal, but you know, the people, his castmates, they paid the price because Martin was nasty. He was nasty to Carl Payne, who played Cole. Cole had issues. He was always picking on Cole. We know that Tisha Campbell filed a lawsuit against Martin due to the fact that Martin kept applying pressure to Tisha Campbell, and Tisha Campbell didn't see Martin in that way. She didn't want to be intimate with Martin, and Tisha began to get tired of being on the receiving end of Martin's unwanted advances. So it's just safe to say that there's a hostile working environment that Martin created back in the days, allegedly by, you know, the cast members and people who worked with Martin. He was tough to deal with. So Chris Williams is coming out and he's telling his truth. I want to take the time and read to you all what he had to say in regards to his working experience with Martin Lawrence. All right. So this is what Chris said. This was one of my first guest star roles back in the 90s on Martin. It was an interesting experience for many reasons. I auditioned and got the job, but on the day I was shooting, I had to have an extra audition just for the egomaniacal Martin Lawrence. I hope I said that right, but if I didn't, that's what it is today. He sat at the end of a long table with the fingers touching in front of his face across from me, and I did the same thing that I booked. It was confusing to me because I had already been given the job, and this was one of my first experiences, so I went along with it. Then, when we were on set, he yelled at a person bringing him a new water because he had taken a sip out of the last one and had someone following him with a fan. I had never seen a star treat people so rudely. The piece de resistance, I don't know what that is, I'm just reading what he said, y'all, came when shooting the scene you see here. I'm going to show you that clip later. First take, when I landed on the floor and he was done with the scene, as he was beating up the mannequin, out of nowhere, I feel the dummy land on me, and with all of his weight jumped on me and my head slammed into the ground. I was dazed and confused and almost had a concussion. I didn't know what was happening. They yelled cut. He got up and walked away. The crew came over and helped me up and said, don't worry about him. You are just being too funny. So the second scene, right, the second take scene here, I'm going to show you guys that some of it, I purposely landed on my side so I could see him coming. He didn't do the same thing, but this time he punched the dummy on the ground and then punched me twice. This was my first lesson in my acting career that you need to take care of yourself and speak up when someone does something unprofessional, which I did not. I didn't know any better. I'll never forget the day, and as you can tell, I'm not a fan of his. Then a year later, when I was working the door at a club my brother-in-law at Trishman owned, he gave attitude because he wanted to get in the club and he wasn't on the list. When they let him in, he turned to me and said, there's always McDonald's, as to infer that even though I was doing my job, he wanted to belittle me. They made him apologize to me later. That's my story. So real quick, this was the scene that Chris Williams was in back in the 90s when he was on the Martin Lawrence show. And so he's talking about this actual episode. I don't know the name of it, but this is the clip that the Neighborhood Talk was able to gather. Shout out to the Neighborhood Talk. But yeah, you know, Chris is saying, yo, Martin was on that BS and I'm here to just tell my truth. And let me just say something for people that are always questioning individuals that come out years later to talk about things that happened to them in their past. Listen, they have that right to talk about it. Maybe he wasn't equipped then or built then to really confront it. Now he may feel stronger, you know, because the world is all about calling out everybody. Anything that has happened to you in your past that wasn't right, this is the time right now to talk about it. And besides, everyone is not built the same. You know, I can understand Chris Williams trying to get into the business, right? And keeping his tongue, you know, not trying to disrespect Martin because this was an opportunity to put his face out there, right? I can understand that. But bruh, when you saw him at the club later and he got nasty with you because you wouldn't let him in because he wasn't on the list, and he insulted you by saying there's always McDonald's, yo, that means that that brother disrespected you not once, but he disrespected you twice. And at that point in time, it's fair game. Y'all out in the street. You know what I'm saying? Not street, but you in the street at that point, and you should have handled your business accordingly, like a man. That's just my personal opinion about it, you know, because if Martin had the audacity to be disrespectful to you and talk down to you and belittle you because you wouldn't let him in the club and you were actually doing your job as a security officer, then yo, it's fair game. Just like I said, you know, and so I can see why a lot of people think that this is weak coming from you, especially a man 30 years later or 20 years later, whatever, you know, the amount of years it's been since, you know, he was on the Martin show. I can see why people think that this is a weak move on your behalf, but at the same time, I want to encourage people to continue to speak your truth. If something happened to you, listen, let me say this. I've had a couple people that I went to school with that hit me up on Facebook saying that they were still disturbed by a joke that I said to them way back then. And so as a man, I apologize to them because listen, I can say, yo, you should be over it by now. We're much older. It was just a joke. We were kids. But at the same time, I'm thinking like, if this affected them that much, then I need to do the right thing and apologize to them. So I'm not in the business of telling people when they can come forth and when they shouldn't come forth. Listen, come forth. Speak your truth. You only have one life to live. Get it off your chest, because maybe in Chris' situation, it really wasn't about Martin solely or exposing what happened. You know, it was a little bit, because if it wasn't, he would have never posted it. But what I'm saying, maybe it's more about him releasing his frustration, him releasing all the embarrassment that he felt when it took place, and being embarrassed when Martin belittled him when he was working as a security guard at the club. Maybe he needed to get this off his chest for his peace of mind. So sometimes that is what matters most when an individual is coming out exposing someone that has disrespected them in the past. But anyway, I'm gonna let this go and let y'all have that in the comments. Drop down and let a brother know what you think about this whole entire situation. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll get with you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.